Welcome everybody, this is No Bullshit Gaming Podcast 2.5 Gamers session number 14. We are discussing the latest news, fun stuff and dropping some knowledge. But don't forget, this is a 4 a.m. conference discussion vibe. Let's not take it too seriously. Hey guys, how are you today? Welcome Jakub and welcome Felix.
We're nowhere near as free as you are, my friend.
Welcome.
Yeah, where are you dialing in from?
Well,
let listeners know.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Well, I'm dialing in from California, from Santa Barbara. So, Jakub, you are next because Felix already recorded a podcast from New York, I think, or Vegas. I'm not sure.
New York.
Now I'm from New York. Now I'm in Santa Barbara, and then Jakub, you are next. So hopefully you can cover one podcast from San Francisco or whatever.
Or Helsinki.
Or Helsinki. Well, but it's not US. It's not US, man. So yeah, well, my internet is super shitty. So hopefully you're going to make it until the end. I'm not sure
the privilege of US.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Americans can actually browse the internet with this kind of speed. Yeah, how are you? All good?
Peachy.
Pretty busy week.
Pretty busy week. Well, what was happening? Yeah, well, it's like your second podcast already today, so you're on fire.
That's also.
You know, before you arrived, Mache, he actually promised for my birthday he'd actually do one podcast without his sunglasses.
No way.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, but it's
no
your
sunglasses.
birthday. But your birthday, it's in February.
Yeah, it's in February, so we'll have to wait.
Yeah, until then he will go for eye surgery, I guess. Or no. Well, never mind. So funny things are happening actually. So what we found out very recently, other podcasts are trying to copy our vibe and atmosphere. Well, that's perfect. But there's one thing I need to mention. Guys, you can't copy fun. But you can try. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Nice,
and also,
nice dad comments.
Yeah, well, what can we do? Well, I can, I'm allowed to use these dad jokes now. But our last Rovio session was actually very well received. So thank you very much for all the positive feedback you gave us. And we are going to continue with these kind of analysis every month. So stay tuned. But also, if you have any ideas about companies we should talk about or look at, let us know. And also, one last thing I wanna mention is we just crossed 100 subscribers on YouTube. It's not a huge number, but we will get there. Thank you very much for all your support. Step by step. We just started.
We're underground.
Oh yeah, well, very true. And what we are going to cover today, well, obviously Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse plans and the Meta financial situation. Then Rovio revenue growth. Also ATT news about 1 year, about the last year, and then we're going to talk about the Ubisoft potential M&A and the Activision Blizzard sales, and also going to talk about the Warcraft mobile leaks. Well, that's going to be very interesting, honestly. And then our main topic about how to read ad monetization data for beginners, and this is really interesting, at least for me, because I'm definitely a beginner on this field. But next time we'll do the same thing for the UI. All right, so let's kick this off, guys.
Okay, so other than the quarterly results that was done on 27th of April by Meta or Facebook, reading into the news, you can see some of the actual announcements they said. So I want to kind of cover those a little bit. One thing that investors, or let's say shareholders, are not really happy is the increasing burn rate of Facebook's Reality Labs division, which is pretty much 17,000 people that are already working on the Metaverse project, which burned $3 billion last quarter alone, which if we compare it to the previous numbers they said, that Mark said that last year they burned altogether 10 billion. So it's already 3 billion in first quarter, which if they continue burning at this pace will be 12 billion. So we'll see. And this
it's going
is
to
still...
be even bigger number, man.
Yeah, probably, yeah. It will be even bigger. But yeah, they're still kind of toning down the expectations that the return of this whole investment will come sometime 2030, the soonest, if ever. Let's see. But yeah, the stock of Meta evaporated pretty much the growth of last 5 years. So it's back to that like 200 level. And they even said that they expect that Apple's ad tracking changes have cost them around 10 billion in lost revenue, which is also like a pretty big hit. And then regarding the announcements, they said that they're going to have a browser-based version of Horizon Worlds, which is their supposed to be shared metaverse app for Meta Quest 2 headset, will become available already this year. That's the one where you don't have legs and just go around with the avatars.
Amazing. When the whole world is mobile, you will just launch the web browser
version.
But I mean, it's just connected to the Web3 and all the web browser things there.
Yeah, the thing is that for a metaverse to work, it needs to be accessible through everything. So it doesn't matter where you just cannot dump it down to one platform. So that's
that's the
problem.
First platform,
they're trying to. What first platform? First platform is the headset already. It's there.
Yeah, but then browser, and then it's going to be on mobile, and then maybe other console and whatever else. Why not?
There's really nothing we can say about this. Like, my God, like burning that much money, having that many people working on something that's just like, I don't even know what to say. Like, cool. Best of luck.
Well, we will see in 2030 first numbers.
Well, I'm not going to hold any Facebook stock. That's for damn sure. Like, no. Like, let them take this bet. I'm not going to be part of it.
Yeah, continuing on the announcements, they also said that they're going to release Project Cambria, which is their high-end PC headset. If I understood correctly, this should be a PC headset. They didn't explicitly say that, but I'm thinking, that's my guess, it will be. Because later down the line, they said that they're aiming this at professional market, like work headset or something, like you will be working in the metaverse through this. So, and they said that they're going to have eye tracking tech in it, which seems to be super demanding on the hardware. So I'm guessing it will need a PC to run itself, because eye tracking tech opens a lot of possibilities, such as foveated rendering, which means that you can cut down pretty much 60% of graphical demand just by rendering the stuff where you're currently looking at maximum resolution.
I bet you have eye tracking technology in your glasses.
For sure. But for me, like I would say the other big opinion that I have on this is that eye tracking tech could be really, really good on the ad business itself, because you can then track the user's eye movements all the time. So you know all the time where they're looking at, which ads they did so and which ads they didn't so, or how long, and so on and so forth. So this brings a lot of other possibilities, which I think are kind of crucial to that. And then they said that the headset should be able to translate even the facial expressions into those like digital avatars in their Horizon app. So I'm still guessing it will be a PC one, but let's see.
So like on this, I would just say like the big litmus test or like canary in the coal mine is like the king undisputedly in the world of office tech is Microsoft. When Microsoft announced they're working on something similar, then you know it's going to work. But like, no. Like, do you guys see it? Like, I can't even imagine it, but maybe I'm just not imaginative enough or forward thinking enough. But yeah, it just sounds like such a risk. Like, I see Microsoft developing something like this, but Facebook? Okay.
I'm guessing they're going still for that platform play, that they want to be the first to create the platform and kind of colonize it, let's say. But for me, it still screams Ready Player One, like they are the one that want to take over the metaverse. And then there you have guys like Tim Sweeney in Epic who wants to like build this free metaverse. And then, of course, Apple is building their own headset. Microsoft, they have their HoloLens headset, which is AR-based more on that. But yeah, let's see. I'm still guessing that we're far behind the tech that still needed to be developed in order for these things to work. Because, yeah, headsets are there. You can go into the store right now and buy the Meta Quest 2, but you know how there's few million users out there. That's it. So don't see that appealing now.
I mean, we can try to do it from the start, but I wouldn't do it. Let's just continue. It's fine. Or you
Okay.
wanna? Is really was that really that bad?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It sounded like you were talking into a fucking string can with two like cans with a string on it.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, you know what? No.
Do you have time or no?
I have time, but let's not do it from the start. Then.
All right, fine.
Fuck it.
Okay.
All right. Should we come down from Mount Olympus and talk about our next story? That's a bit more close to what we discussed last week.
Yeah.
Do you want to take this one, Maciej?
Yeah, I think so. We can do it. So Rovio sees 26% revenue growth against mobile free-to-play decline. So last week we discussed how Rovio is actually doing and how they could do even better. But this news was based on their quarterly results. Oh, fuck, I can't even speak properly. Results, and they saw 26% year-on-year increase in terms of the revenue. Rovio CEO said that against the third consecutive quarter-on-quarter decline in the mobile free-to-play market. So they are actually doing pretty well against the other companies. So revenue increased from 67 million in Q1 2021 to 85 million in 2022, which is nice increase. And what I would say now is like the DAU across all the Rovio titles increased year over year from 4.2 million in Q1 last year to 7.3 million in 2022. And
this is Ruby games.
And this is including the Ruby games player base, obviously. But well, they made an acquisition, and this is how everything is going at the moment.
They already got like 5 million in 2021 in the full report, so it's actually down if I read that right. If we take out the Ruby acquisition.
But why should we take?
Why would you take out Ruby?
Take
Okay, of course, because it's a hyper casual thing.
But they bought the company.
But hey, man.
So it was like what?
Yeah, they bought the company.
No, but we're talking about users that you have on one hand 20 or 10 cents per install, and then you have your usual casual $3, $5 users, and you're putting them into the same bag.
Yes, because it's the same company. It's the same company. They bought Ruby games. Now it's part of their portfolio.
No, like. Of course,
Remo, like the stock market doesn't agree with you. Like Rovio stock is at the highest point it's ever been since 2018. So, stock market seems to love it, and if they buy it, that's what matters in the end, right?
Exactly.
Let's see.
What? Let's see what. Let's see what exactly.
No. Like I'm just saying, like a lot of these numbers kind of look good on paper, but if you look into the bigger context, they don't look that good.
But why do you think it's not looking that good? Still, I mean, yes, hyper casual players, sure, but that's the part of the acquisition strategy they have. So, well, like if they
that's what they said they're going to do moving forward. Yeah, buying more companies.
No, like as I said, like it's okay. I'm just saying that from bigger context, it seems different.
But why? Explain.
That glass looks about half full to me.
Yeah.
Does it look half empty to you, mate?
It looks like
yeah, exactly.
So
I always see it half empty.
You're not only the crypto skeptic, but like the life skeptic, I guess, or like the gaming skeptic, or I'm not sure like how we should call you from now on, man. But yeah, okay. Let's see.
Cool. Should we talk about opt-in for ATT?
Yeah, let's do that.
So AppsFlyer this last week actually released some very interesting data, basically from 1 year on analysis on iOS, and it shows that the ATT opt-in, that is to say users that actually opt into tracking, is a lot higher than first was feared. I believe back when Apple announced this, people were predicting something like 10 to 20% opt-in rate as standard, but it turns out like the truth is more that in the UK, US, and Canada, ATT consent in gaming is at 42%, 41%, and 40% respectively. So all around that 42% point. And this is kind of the same you're seeing in non-gaming apps. And this kind of starts like me thinking. There's like a thing that was always in top of my mind, like this during this whole privacy conversation. Like the vocal minority that care about privacy are really loud, but does the majority of people really care about the privacy?
Nobody cares.
They don't, right?
No.
Yeah.
It's just I saw these numbers. It's like, yeah. So now what? It's like, yeah, okay, it's 40%, but nobody cares. Nobody cares about the.
How
the
long it has been? Like February last year when this was introduced or something
April.
like that?
Yeah, they slowly rolled it out though. Yeah.
So it hit around April.
Yeah, before we had the apocalypse movement of like it will end everything, and now
don't even get me started, man. All these like apocalypse bullshit. Fuck.
I mean, the real winner of this is just Apple search ads. Like, yeah.
How is the real winner Apple search ads? Tell me, Mister.
Apple search ads. Apple search ads.
In terms of the gaming. The gaming space. Nobody cares about the game.
In general, for the whole ecosystem, they went from earning like what was it the last time they broke out their revenue? They said they were making $8 billion a year, and that was up from like a year earlier from like $1 billion. I know it's like this Apple doesn't matter because they make so much money, but you know, $7 billion more in a year is still a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Maybe not to you much.
Yeah, well, you know. I saw all those the numbers and the growth figures for the Apple search ads, but in terms of the games, like it's just not performing at all. In terms of apps, maybe, but games not at all. So I wouldn't be.
And do we have
that bullish? What do you want to predict?
Do we have a prediction on how much time it will take for Google to actually hop on this, or it will take like 2 years, 3 years?
Well, they said
it's going to take 2 years,
at
and
least,
maybe 3. Like at least, yeah.
Until they are satisfied and the developers are satisfied with the final result of the privacy sandbox. So until that happens, then it can take more than 2 years. Even we'll see. But yeah, well. Are there anything else in terms of the ATT? Because it's like, what can we even do with this like 42% number? Like, does that make our jobs easier?
It makes my job easier. I earn more money from like opt-in users.
Yeah,
like they're paid a higher ECPM.
That's what I wanted to hear.
That's where it kind of matters for me. Yeah.
Because for me on the US side, it's like not that significant. I mean, of course, you can get more data from the opt-in users, but anyway, we don't use it anymore. How about you, Jakub? Do you use any of these numbers?
It's better if we get more ad revenue, of course, but other than that, like I don't see it that much.
Okay, but do you get any insights in terms of the FTUE and anything basically on these players?
It's in the article actually that like sometimes I think there was one genre that said that you get more opt-in when you do it later, actually than sooner. I think it was like a hardcore genre. But compared to hyper-casual ones or the other ones, the later you do it, lower opt-in rate you get.
Yeah, but so I mean for
those
you,
are some kind of
for you as a game designer, if you get higher opt-in rates, does it mean that you will be able to show these players like personalized special offers, or like how does that work? Do you know what I mean?
Maybe no.
Okay, never mind.
Like specialized offers are based on their progression in the game, not the offers consent themselves. That's the thing.
Okay then.
Don't confuse game progression with the privacy consent.
Well then, explain, because I might be lost in here.
Yeah, I'm confused. Yeah.
Okay, so usually how special offers works, or like whatever kind of monetization that based on pure power and IP transactions, it's based on players' progression in the game content. So you arrive at level 7, you upgrade this, you upgrade that, and so on and so forth. It doesn't have to do anything with the consent itself. Consent itself just gives you better ECPM for those people, so Felix can squeeze more money out of them.
Okay, but how do you identify these players? Because there's still a lot of discussion.
How do you identify what?
The players in general, because if you don't have levels in the game and you don't have these level special offers, for example, or progression-based special offers, then how do it identify segment players? Let's say, how do you segment players based on what?
How do you segment?
Yeah,
players?
based on what?
You definitely have some kind of progression. There needs to be one. Even time is a progression, just like time in game.
Okay, because sorry for confusing everybody. It's just how do you segment players in this post ATT world? That was the question that I had in mind.
Yeah, there's numerous ways to do this. Like it depends on like the spending depth of your economy, basically.
Okay. Well, that's what I wanted to know. Good. Let's move on to several private equity firms might be interested in buying Ubisoft. Well, I have no idea who are these, but it sounds very interesting. Okay, so
this is a rumor article, I would say. It was originally, I think, in Kotaku or some kind of other
PC
source.
Gamer,
PC Gamer.
our favorite PC Gamer.
But people are pretty much saying that they expect Ubisoft to get bought, and
based on what?
This is based.
The market cap is really small, basically, compared to other like gaming companies, and they have a lot of IP. Maybe not as strong as IP anymore, but I read
the consensus is that the current situation isn't that good, which means that this is an ideal time for an acquisition to take, because you were pretty much buying it at a discount. If you look at the share price, it's topped at 110 in July 2018, and now it's somewhere at $41. So it's like a really, really big discount currently. Ubisoft went through a lot of troubles through the HR harassment scandals department, and like lots of people left. They even said that they're bleeding a lot of talent already. The pipeline for the portfolio is kind of slow, so they still have Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, and Ghost Recon on their menu, but they're far away from actually materializing as a launched game. They did their NFT fiasco, let's say. Let's not even talk about it anymore. No. But yeah, they did that. And so it's not anymore 7 Ubisofts for the Roblox situation that we have been counting.
Like 1 or 2, right?
It's much less. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna bet you guys each €10 that if it gets bought, it's gonna be Blackstone. If it gets bought, it's gonna be Blackstone that does it.
Blackstone, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Blackstone, like for those who don't know, also own Vungle and Liftoff.
Yeah.
And basically they've made a lot of moves previously, like in or around our mobile space. And it could be quite interesting to see what they'd actually do with that. I could see some synergies right off the back there.
Really? What kind
of having a gaming company having access to that much like inventory, it could be interesting. But then again, now when I'm speaking, I realize that Ubisoft are tiny on mobile. So maybe I spoke in haste. Yeah.
They don't have anything on mobile. They have ketchup and that's it. Do they have anything else?
Yeah, I think.
They have that the shark. What's it called again? Yeah.
Yes.
Assassin's Creed game and the shark. What's it called? Hungry Shark.
Hungry Shark. I think. Yeah, Hungry Shark. Then some but bullshit as well. So it's like what? Few games on mobile.
Like the bread and butter of the company is either Far Cry or Assassin's Creed, isn't it? Or like Watch Dogs or like all these other like big AAA titles. I don't think so. That's that much kind of a synchronicity with mobile focus company.
Well, you guys just missed out on making 10 easy euros. So yeah, I'm not going to even hold you to that. Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, the other important thing is that it's still 15% is still owned by the Guillemot family. So whoever wants to go buy Ubisoft needs to go through them. That's just saying. And I'm still guessing that either they come out with something great or they're gonna be sold. That's also my kind of guess. I think that the analysis kind of stands there. Now that we are in this heavy period of consolidation, it's a great target. Like something similar than Activision Blizzard, but also they kind of went down. It's a big discount and easy prey for some kind of big tech company. So why not?
But who is that big tech company? That's the question.
Could be Amazon.
Ooh, okay. So they... Why would they shoot themselves in the foot?
Though? I mean,
Well, what?
What would they shoot themselves in the foot by acquiring Ubisoft?
Why don't they? Why would they?
I'm not sure. Like, if depends on if they want to be if they want to be big on PC and consoles, maybe that kind of works.
keep in mind that Amazon is also the publisher of Lost Ark currently in Western world.
Yeah.
So my guess is that I would not really take the mobile approach here as for like synergies with mobile, whatever. I would maybe take just we want to have stronger and more robust gaming diversification. So that could fit the angle.
Okay. That makes sense.
But we'll see.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Activision Blizzard, is it?
Bunker Bobby time. I love it. Banging on Bunker Bobby. I'll let you do this one, Rima. Come on. Oh.
Yeah. So this is not really a good time for Activision. The company-wide revenues were down 22% year over year to 1.7 billion. While net bookings slid 29% to 1.4 billion. Net income for the period was down 36% to 395 million. Activision business segment saw the greatest decline with revenue sliding nearly 50% to 453 million. I guess spamming things with Call of Duty doesn't work forever. We'll see. And then Activision also saw a decline for the quarter in their 100 million monthly active users, which is down 33% year over year. And it's their lowest total since 2019, the launch of Call of Duty Mobile. And and then we have Blizzard also having like a down revenue of 43% to 274 million for the first quarter, with the drop blame on product cycle timing for the Warcraft franchise.
Mate, like, I'm going to go say it. Bunker Bobby is a genius. Like, he must have known this, and then he flipped the burger before Microsoft found out the meat is rotten to the core.
The thing is, they also announced that this is something, actually, they went against what they said, that they will be launching Diablo Immortal, the infamous mobile version of Diablo, on PC also in June. 2nd of June, and the game has already 30 million pre-registrations, which I think is like a record or something.
I pre-registered as well.
Crash Bandicoot had like 12 million pre-registers, and that flopped.
Yeah,
it
doesn't mean that much.
It means nothing. Yeah.
Anyway, so they also said that they're gonna announce a mobile game, a new one, next Tuesday, May 3rd. Which, according to the latest leaks by our famous journalist Jason Schreier, said that actually the rumor is that there were two mobile games in development, one of them being kind of a similar version to Pokemon Go. That's the one I guess we'll be talking about last few years, and it seems that one got cancelled. And then the other rumor is that this new game gonna be similar to Clash of Clans. So yeah, really looking forward to that
good luck
Tuesday
with that.
Release, or let's say Tuesday announcement. Yeah. And then last part of the report says that pretty much the brightest spot for the whole quarter was King, of course, the Candy Crush guys, which saw revenues up 12% year over year to 682 million. Candy Crush is just crushing it.
Man, like carrying the team. Yeah.
Candy Crushing
Candy
it?
Crushing
it.
So lots of interesting developments. Nice. I would say, I'm guessing like I don't really have a good feeling about this mobile game in Warcraft franchise, to be honest.
Also, what the fuck, Pokemon Go like Warcraft game? Seriously, how would that make sense? I mean, in which universe?
Maybe they started developing it right after Pokemon Go, so it was in development for like last 6 years. What do you know?
Well, that looks like that sounds like Blizzard. That's true. Oh, but the Clash of Clans came. That's gonna
like
be interesting.
The moment,
I'm looking forward to
like
that.
Blizzard hardcore audience sees the timers, the free-to-play mode.
Oh yeah,
gonna crucify them.
Most probably.
Well, at least this is not done on BlizzCon. That's one thing they took a lesson out.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, well.
This is some out of style April Fool's joke.
We'll see. What do you think, by the way, about Diablo Immortal? Like, how that game's gonna perform?
I'm looking forward to see it, but I'm not sure if it's gonna perform in West rather than in the East. Right? It looks. I mean, it's developed by NetEase, so I guess. It's going to be. Very
I'm
close
just
to
super
that kind of
curious about the
audience.
monetization. If they're actually gonna pull the Korean lineage method, which is the insurance trick.
Man, like I've lost all hope in all Diablo games. Like I loved Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 with all my heart, and then like my heart was ripped out of my chest for Diablo 3. They just,
Which
Digimoned it or
error
something. It was just,
37?
I couldn't even play it. I was so sad and upset. At least now they're doing the decent thing of
come on.
upgrading the Diablo 2 or like remastering it, which is great. But like, meh.
But that was not done by like internal Blizzard studio.
Was it not? No.
No, it was done by Vicarious Visions.
Like I
There you
said,
go.
heart ripped out, no hope.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's take a little break from the discussion to hear what Addictive has to say to you guys about the cross promotion.
If you've built a mobile game for iOS or Android, you've experienced user churn. You can win those users back, but it's getting more and more expensive, even more so to acquire totally new users. Enter cross-promotion with Addictive. By identifying your users likely to churn early, you can showcase another game in your portfolio before they leave forever, transforming a lost user into a new user, increasing your revenues. Learn more now at addictive.com.
And we are back. Felix, what do we have today for the admon data for beginners?
So,
let's try to
Yeah,
discuss
so
that.
now we're moving on to the educational topic. So what I thought that I actually wanted to talk about today, I actually had some devs reach out to me after the Rovio podcast last week. And they were actually just asking me, like, how do I even look at the data? So I realized that Applovin and Ironsource, which are the two big mediations at this moment that pretty much everyone is on, one of the two, they don't have a good guide for how to actually look at ad monetization data to know if you're actually performing well or not. And I just wanted to, show you guys and teach you exactly how to look at the data, because essentially it's not your fault that people don't know this. It's kind of by design. So if you think about it, like the perfect monetization client for Applovin Max or Ironsource is someone who plugs in Max or Ironsource and then never does anything with it. Because when you plug in Max, like the two standard networks that you always get is Applovin Exchange and Applovin. And if you don't have anything competing against that, they set the price and then you get a lower price. Same thing on Ironsource. The only network that you start off with is Ironsource. So that's why, like, my theory is that's why there are no good guides around actually how to look at the data, because it's not directly in their interests, right?
So back at the mushroom theory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
I mean, they're great.
The session number
they're great
9
platforms, both of them. And if you know how to use them, they're extremely powerful. So I just put together a short guide for how to look at the admon data on Applovin, and I'll do Ironsource another time. So this one is a 2.5 gamers first, as I have actually made a presentation. So I'll try to narrate a bit for the people who are actually listening. But if you're really interested in this topic, I would probably recommend that you slide over to YouTube and take a look, because a picture speaks 1,000
definitely
words.
don't forget to subscribe as well.
Yeah, smash the subscribe button while you're at it. So there's two topics that I want to cover that are like the very basics of how to do well with your game on Applovin Max, and that's advanced reporting and how to run good A/B tests. If you can master those two things, you're already like kind of away from the beginner zone and kind of heading to the intermediate. And then if we have time, I want to cover one last topic that I kind of call a CYA topic, which is cover your ass. One little thing that you should also be good at.
Ooh, nice.
So
Okay.
the first thing that you should do when you get Applovin Max, like the most powerful tool, like everyone always looks at the performance tab or the user activity tab. So the performance tab shows you where, like, how much money, how many impressions, and your eCPM. Very interesting for like top level if you're a CEO to look at. User activity shows the basic things like, okay, how many impressions are you getting for rewarded compared to interstitials, your ad ARPDAU and stuff like that. But none of those metrics actually like show you how well that you're doing. And the first tool that you need to get familiar with is advanced reporting. And it sounds more daunting than it actually is, but yeah, you find it here right under user activity. Here is advanced reporting. So this is what it looks like when you kind of scroll to it. So how to use this tool is relatively simple once you know how to do it. So the first thing that you got to set is you need to set a date. So what you want to do is you want to put yesterday's data minus 3 days. So the reason behind that is that the data you're looking at, you always get quite a lot of fluctuations because kind of the impressions that you're getting, it's not always the same amount of demand. It's like fluid. So, these networks that you're working with, they don't always have the same amount of demand for your inventory. So what you want to do is you want to look at a short time period that basically shows how you're doing in, the not for so foreseeable past. So that's why you choose minus 3 days and yesterday. Then you put in the application that you want to look at. I had to blurb out the actual application because, stuff. Check the network button, network placement, and add unit test. And then basically you need to leave that blank because we'll get to that later. And then add type, whichever add type for the waterfall that you're actually using. Then what you do is you click run report. And then you should come up with a bunch of data that's kind of below where you can see the table start below. Then you scroll down and you click the plus button next to control. So what that actually does, it isolates the report you're actually running. So it's kind of away from any A/B test you're running. So you're getting a clean data set. Then you can save this report and you don't have to actually put in all these inputs all the time. And then boom, that's how you use the advanced reporting. So when you actually run the report and get the data, you can save here. When you actually run it, you get something like this below. It looks a bit different. So this is actually a Excel sheet of the data. I had to blurb out kind of some of the things that you actually see. But this is essentially, if you filter by eCPM, this is your entire waterfall that you're essentially seeing mixed with placements and bidders. And this is essentially how to look at the data. So the main thing here that you're looking at is fill rate. That's the most important thing that you should always be looking at. So in this particular this particular waterfall, you can see that Unity on top has 150 eCPM, has a fill rate of 0.18%. So this is pretty much everything. Oh, I lost my notes. All right, here it is. Okay, edit that out. Okay, so you see here Unity on top, $150 eCPM, filling at 0.18%. That's your top call. So the main issues when you hear a lot of people saying you need to be careful with latency. What does that actually mean? So there are a couple of golden rules that you need to know to actually look at this data. So the first golden rule is there is a standard to make sure that you don't have to wait or your users have to wait for long for the ad to load, which means that all auctions in your waterfall have to be done within 300 milliseconds. And if they're not done within 300 milliseconds, they get kicked out of the auction. So what happens in Applovin is that you get an ad request. Someone is requesting, let's say, a rewarded ad in your game. What happens then is one of the bidders responds saying, yes, I've received this ad request, and that starts the bidding. So basically what you have then is bidders say what price they're willing to pay, and then the auction from the highest price from the bidders in Applovin Max flows down through your placements to see if they can get a higher price. So if you have too many placements in the waterfall, what's going to happen is they're not going to be able to get a response from all these placements within the 300 milliseconds, which means that you're going to get latency. So they're just going to skip over some of this. So Applovin Max is built in the way that usually I find it that after 43 placements in a specific country, that's when you start seeing latency with Applovin Max. And what happens in Applovin Max is it usually skips the torso. So yeah, you get the response on like kind of the top of the waterfall, but then you kind of skip the middle of it, and then you start on a lower price, which means that if you have latency, you as a developer earn less money. So there's actually a couple of
So what do you need to have less
Exactly.
placements?
So
in
you
this
shouldn't
case?
have more than 43 placements per geo in your waterfall to
So
avoid
need to
the risk of latency.
You need to be within the 300 millisecond range, pretty much.
Exactly. And usually that is around 43 placements on Applovin. It's a bit different on Ironsource, but we can get to that in another video. So the golden rule here to make sure that you have a smooth running waterfall is no more than 43 placements. So the kind of thing that at least Applovin have told me is that if you have a placement that fills, that has a lower fill than 1%, or is under 1% of your overall waterfall revenue, you should remove that placement. And that's kind of the rule that you should always work towards. So you can see this waterfall that I've used an example is nowhere near optimized. So that's when you need to kind of start running A/B tests to removing and adding placements to make sure it's under 43 placements, and also to make sure that all the placements are earning at least over 1% of the revenue of the overall waterfall revenue and have more than 1% fill. Also, another interesting thing that I found out is that the top 10 placements in Applovin Max, it's not designed, or they don't design the waterfall. Like, so if you have less than 0.0% fill, or 0.03% fill in any of the top 10 placements, that screws up the bidding somehow, and then you get lower kind of, lower performance. So you as an admon person in Applovin, it's your like kind of job to make sure that you're like below these ranges to make sure that you don't skip any part of the waterfall. Another kind of housekeeping note that makes you make significantly more money is that you should never ever have like one network that has uninterrupted like bid flow. So let's say if you had like a Unity placement that starts at 150, and then another Unity placement at 140, and then another one at going all the way down to 100 before you have an Ironsource placement. What happens then is after about 2 weeks, the Unity bidder realizes that it's getting kind of similar ad requests on all the placements. So then it will start pooling the fill where they're actually placing impressions at the bottom end of all the placements. So you earn less money. So what you should have is always another network between the placements, and that's how you kind of build the waterfall to ensure that you get maximal revenue.
So something like a hamburger approach.
Oh, Maciej, America is just being so good to you. I love these. Like, keep them coming, man. Keep them coming.
Of course.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but this is all based on the thing that you have enough SDKs implemented so you can stuff something in it. That's the biggest problem they always run into.
Yeah. So for those of you who are just listening right now, it's pretty much just an Excel file that has not that much data in it except the fill rate. So all the time when you work with ad networks, they're begging you to send you exactly this Excel sheet to see how they're kind of performing compared to other networks. So when you get asked to do this,
that's what you should never share with them, right?
You can share with them exactly this sheet that I have now, but if I was sharing this with a network, I would even take the network column that even has the name here of the networks, and I would call them network 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
2, 3, 4,
and the
5,
reason behind that is, let's say I'm sending this to my Unity rep, and the placements that's filling really high above them is AdMob. If they know it's AdMob, they're not going to try to beat them because they know they can't beat the biggest network in the world. Simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So again, mushroom rule. Keep them in the dark.
Rule. Yeah, keep them in the dark. Yeah. Yeah. So the next kind of most important thing on Applovin is conducting A/B tests. And you run A/B tests to make sure exactly like you're staying within below these things that I outlined before. But you kind of just need to get really good at it. It's not that intuitive the first time you run it. So how to run A/B tests on Applovin is you go to the ad unit, you find kind of the game that you're kind of managing, and then you click on these little 3 dots at the top. That's called, create A/B test. And what you do there is you click create A/B test, you set a name, and then you have pretty much access to a exact replica of your ad units. And then what you should do here for the golden rules for A/B testing is you should only test one network at a time. And then you should also only ever remove placements at in one A/B test or add them. So you don't want anything to kind of screw up your data. So you never run an A/B test adding, let's say, placements on Fiber and removing on Unity, because then you don't know if the increase or decrease in the A/B test on the money comes from you removing Unity calls and adding Fiber calls. So the way you run them is you either just, you remove Unity calls in one A/B test, and then maybe you add Fiber calls in the next A/B test to kind of see if it works.
So one step at a time.
Okay, what can I A/B test? So can I A/B test the floors?
Exactly.
Floor prices
exactly.
as well? Or
Okay. So that's what you're doing. So pretty much if you're seeing that, going back to what we said before, if you're seeing that a placement is higher than 1% fill, that should be an indication to you that that network is willing to pay a higher price. Or if it has lower than 1% fill on the placement, that means the network is probably not willing to pay that price. And you should probably move down the placement and or maybe get rid of it. So that's the kind of...
Okay, why should I... why should I do the A/B test and not just change it on the normal?
Because then you don't know if you're earning more money or less money. Like you can't isolate that. You don't know. So you need to keep testing these things. And it's a bit frustrating. The whole industry is kind of moving away from this, but it's kind of being a slow move. Like Unity has their bidder right now. There's a couple of other ones working on it, but I don't see this going away for at least another year or two. So we're kind of stuck with this.
How long does it take to see the results? I mean, is it day or week, month?
So if a waterfall is
Depends
if
on
a
the
waterfall is
amount of
really
impressions,
screwed up, I mean you can have some really massive gains relatively quickly, I'd say a week or two. But if it's only semi screwed up, I'd say you see results in about a month or two. So it takes time to do it right, but to do it right, that's when you see the best results over time. So that's when you can kind of see the ad ARPDAU gains of somewhere between 8 to 17%. I've seen it sometimes if it's really screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the original question was that how much time it would take for this A/B test to run.
Sorry. Was that actually the question?
No.
Okay, so that's mine.
You answered the question, but
okay, so I was actually going to get to that. It was a really good topic. So how long do you run these tests? So if you have a really big game, maybe gets 1 million impressions, these tests take about a couple of hours, maybe a day. But if you have a small game that maybe only has 10,000 impressions a day, these A/B tests are going to take maybe a week. So it's just about getting a significant amount of impressions on both the A and the B part of the test to actually make a statistically sound judgment on which one is better and which one is not.
Does these things have built-in statistical significance test? So it tells you how long
No,
it
so
will
when
take?
you're running the A/B test, what you look at is pretty much the revenue figure, and that's what you look at. So they're going to pool 50% of the user base in one of the waterfalls and 50 in the other one. So what you're going to pick is pretty much when the A/B test is finished, whichever one made more money. So,
Okay.
Make sense, or did I lose you guys?
Oh, of course,
No, it
makes sense. And you do this all the time, pretty much, if I understand.
Pretty much all
correctly.
the time. And the reason you do it all the time is what I said before is networks have seasonality. They have more demand in December than they do towards the end of January because Mathieu is buying, less UA traffic. So, what Mathieu does directly and implies,
Really?
impacts, my job.
So Mati goes on a holiday and traffic
Yeah,
goes
right.
to shit, yeah.
No. I'm never on a holiday, guys. That's
He says dialing in from
can't
Santa
sleep.
Barbara.
Well, I'm dialing in. Am I? So there you go.
All right. So
Oh man.
that brings us to kind of the last topic on Applovin, which is a really powerful tool, which is kind of, the CYA thing that I always tend to check at least once a month. And that is the debug report that's called network comparison. And what essentially this little debug report is if you click into it, you select yesterday to the -7 days. And what essentially this does is you tick the network and the network placement box. So when you actually click the run report here, what you're showed is all the placements that you have in a game, but you also want to filter them by this revenue delta. So what this will tell you is how much more off percentage of the price that you have told the network to bid at to what you're actually getting. So if a placement is broken, or if you have screwed up in setting the wrong price, there would be like a very large revenue delta here. And then you're actually not going to be paid what you're seeing in Applovin. So like a lot of like issues that have arisen is either like a placement that breaks, which doesn't have that happen that often, or which probably every admon person has done at least once, is they go into like Fiverr and they set a price of $25, and then really they put 25 cents instead of 25. So in their head they think that, and they put $25 in Applovin, and you look like a hero and you're making, you know, much moolah money, and everyone's happy and praising you like a king. And then you have to go and tell everyone that it's actually not real and you screwed up. And this is the tool that helps you find,
you look at your
like,
bank
to find
account
out if
and
you
it's
screwed up.
very, very bad, very different.
Very sad.
Very sad indeed.
Very sad as well, yeah.
Yeah. So this was actually all that I had in terms of education. I don't know. Do you guys feel more educated now on the topic?
I definitely feel educated.
Seems pretty good.
I believe this is interesting, but I'm pretty lost in all of this shit. So you need to educate me even more.
Like I have been doing this for some time,
Which is why we are here.
and I had to say, like, it's really important that people grasp these, like as you said, that it's built pretty much against the user, that you need to kind of stay on top of the system because you need to use it properly. Otherwise, the system will use you in the end, and you will pretty much enrich whoever kind of
System will use
that's
you.
how it's built, man. It's not done like a normal thing usually, that you accept like a third-party service being built. So that's there. But my question is, how often do you kind of test new networks in these, or like the ones that are new on the market, or like how often do you look into some kind of new things in it? Because let's say I have my usual hamburger that I'm just rolling in, A/B testing, doing seasonality.
How do you choose them as well?
Yeah, that's my
All
other
right. So
question.
the first filter process that I go through is, if the subject heading of the email is $100,000 like credit for implementing us, then it's a direct no. And you'd be surprised how many networks reach out to you saying like a limited time offer, 100,000 integration bonus. So that's directly in the garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Then actually, like, what it is pretty much, which I think is probably similar to you on UA, right? You hear gossip from other admon people like, oh yeah, this is working really well for us, and this is not working really well for us. And that's kind of how you go, because the only people you can actually kind of trust is people who are actually using it. So you also kind of know roughly which networks are big, because whatever networks that Maciej or like any other UA person is using and spending a lot of money on, they're going to have a lot of inventory that they want to buy. So that's how you kind of go about choosing networks that you work with.
And how often do you add them?
When you kind of see like the need.
What's the point?
So
Like,
there's
what
rules.
is the point,
There's
like,
rules
where you
around
say,
that as well.
Hey,
So
we need more.
if you want to have an efficient waterfall, you look at kind of share of voice and share of revenue. So kind of the unwritten rule that you should always aim towards is that you want to have network partners that are at least making over 10% of your overall share of revenue. And if it's anything below that, then basically you should lean on that ad network to see if they can perform better. And over time, if they can't, that's probably a signal that you should remove them. Because what you don't want to have is like a game that has 15 SDKs, ad SDKs that can crash the game, and they're not bringing any value to kind of your bottom line. So less than 10%, that's usually a signal that the ad partner is not good, and you should probably think about replacing them.
Less than 10% in what kind of time period? Like month?
Yeah, you can look over like a
half a
month,
year?
but like usually what you do is if you look
Month.
at over in a month, you can go like, hey, you guys haven't performed the last month. And they're like, yeah, the quarter's a bit slow. So like you can only really squeeze if like you're like, oh yeah, it's been like 3 months where you've been below 10% share of revenue. What's going on? And then you say like, oh yeah, you have another 2 months to improve. Otherwise, yeah, I'm sorry, but I need like over 10%. And yeah, that's how you usually frame those discussions.
Okay, so you need to think about how to how many SDKs you have in the game. You need to fit them in the 43 placements, and then every month or let's say every quarter, just check how much
You can squeeze out of
the share of the revenue. You can, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would say like it sounds nice
Alright.
and dandy, but you also have to keep in mind that behind every SDK there's a programmer that needs to actually implement it. And as you said, the more you have in it, the bigger the QA team will kind of scream at you that something's broken always during the update. I've seen it myself.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we all seen that.
Yeah.
But what can we do?
Yeah.
We want to make more money. Then this is one way how to do it.
Yeah.
We need to find the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think that's it, right?
I think that's it. Yeah.
For today. Thanks,
Till
man.
next week.
That was really amazing.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, next week, hopefully UA. Well, I will prep something very similar.
Ah, interesting. Ooh.
Yeah, well, UA for beginners. Why not? I mean, seeing these like questions here and there. What's IPM, CPI, ROAS, all these like fun stuff, but also like what kind of UA basics everybody should know as well. So I will prep something for you guys.
Sounds good. Till next week.
Thank you. Until next week.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, by the way, my speed of uploading is just amazing. 30% uploaded.
I'm no longer the worst
He's
one.
going to
Yeah,
take-
I'm no longer the worst one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, fuck. You as
You
internet.
can tell your American friends that you meet there, like, I left Slovakia and the internet is more shit.
Slovakia has one of the highest
Yeah.
internet speeds in the world per capita, by the way.
Yeah, probably behind the fucking Norwegians. Fucking assholes. Anyway, should we get started?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. One second, I'm just looking into.
I share the screen and then I'll do the presentation, but kind of also walk through it so people listening can kind of, kind of understand what's going on.
Yeah, and also, yeah, it's gonna be visible on the YouTube side. So